Non, ça marche pas. Ah, si. Hello everyone, I'm Rémi Foult. Very happy to be here today. So we are going to talk about risk in DeFi, interesting topic. So I'm a treasurer of Ethereum France, and also I'm a founder of Lagoon.finance, which is a vault infrastructure for asset manager on-chain, and also chief investment officer at 9 Summits, which is on-chain asset manager. So yeah, we are going to talk about a risk framework that we have at 9 Summits. Also talking about a few strategies that have been relevant in the past years, and also a bit about AI, which is an interesting topic that everyone is talking about today. So what's the state of DeFi today? So basically, DeFi is a field of mine, and it's exploding everywhere. So I think, like, as an asset manager, what you have to do if you want to allocate to DeFi is mainly dodging bullets. So before thinking about earning some yield, you have to think about avoiding losing some capital. So yeah, so it's more important to avoid losing than to be winning some. So in order to protect client funds, there's a bunch of stuff that we should be doing as on-chain allocator. And it's not like something really new, but it's important to do those simple things and to also to reassess those fairly often, because what is true today is not really the reality also of tomorrow. So first, the audits, of course. When you look into a new protocol, you should look at audits, and that does not guarantee anything, because a lot of protocols that get hacked also had good auditor and multiple audits. But let's say it's just like the minimum before that a protocol should have if you even think about allocating to it. And so the two most important are longevity without hack and also TVL over time. So if your protocol is 5 years old and has 10 billion of TVL with no security incident at all, well, this is the higher market signal that you can get that this protocol is secure. Also, as an asset manager, you should understand how the yield is generating, understand everything about the protocol in depth, and verify that everything is working as you think on-chain. And also, there are some type of protocols that are more dangerous than others. So, for example, there are staking protocols are not very risky. So it's very rare to see a hacking of staking protocol. But on the other hand, lending protocol and DEXs with rebalances, for example, get hacked all the time. So you should be very careful and just choosing the top tier one when allocating to those. Also, you can implement diversification, not being over a certain percentage of one pool, percentage of one protocol, and also maximum amount per pool. And also, the next point is knowing the teams and due diligence all the founders. And now you have very good AI tool, especially to look into founders' background and see if they were involved in previous protocols that got hacked, in previous drama, previous scam. There are a lot of protocols that operate today. Some of the team members have been involved in scams before, so that should be also a red flag. So yeah, and after you've done all that, you have to reassess frequently and also monitor. So there are some tools like Exagate and Hypernative that would monitor everything on-chain about those protocols and send you alerts or even incident response, allowing you to pull some liquidity out if some certain incident happen. So let's look a little bit about risky protocol type. So it's not an exhaustive list, but the first type of protocol is lending. So a lot of yield in DeFi comes from lending. And most of the protocol have had security incidents in the past or were totally hacked. So one of the most famous hack is Euler V1. So the donation attack to reserve allowed the hacker to extract 200 million. It's worth also noting that the hacker gave it all back to the protocol 1 month after. So, but still proven that the lending protocol are risky. And a lot of other protocols like Cream, Venus has a security incident also. Uland, even Aave had a bad Oracle configuration that triggered 27 million in liquidation a few weeks ago. So even the best protocol standard out there have some incidents. So you should always be careful and live monitor. So the problem with lending protocols is when you have one bad collateral, it can propagate to the whole protocol and all the lending pools. Even Morpho had a donation attack bug in their Vault V1, so you're not safe anywhere. Also, the other kind of type of protocol that got a lot of hack were all DEX, and especially the one with rebalance feature. So this is very dangerous, and the math behind rebalance on DEXs is very complex. And when there is complexity, there is a more attack surface. So be very careful before allocating to those. Even Balancer V2, which was a protocol that was there for 5 years with fairly decent TVL, got hacked last year. So, yeah, risky protocols. Also now we are seeing a lot of new protocol, but and also the vaultification of DeFi. So there is an idea behind this is that DeFi is complicated and it's not for everyone, and should be led to professional. So that's why the vault. So the vault is like on-chain funds, allow user to one-click deposit and they earn yield. Professional asset manager are in charge of generating the yield. And they take a fee for that, of course. And then the user are safe. But some protocols are marketed as a protocol and not as vaults or not as funds. And yeah, you should just know that all those protocols are, in my opinion, are vaults, so are on-chain funds. So the biggest one being Etina. I'm not saying necessarily this is a bad thing. But just you should be aware that they are all hedge funds, and also some of them have been hacked partially or totally. So most known one is Stream.finance of last year. Last week, Resolve, which is Etina-like with senior and junior tranche, had a security incident, private key leak that led to 20 million loss. Just last Sunday, Yodact XYZ got a rebalance incident that they got covered by the treasury, and yeah, lots of vaults. So lots of opportunity for user, but also when user deposit to a vault, they should look at the track record of the asset manager that is managing their money, obviously. So. Let's talk a little bit about the funding now that we looked at the risk, how to generate yield. So one of the strategy is to look at assets that are blue chips and that are trading below peg. So for example, the LST from Lido, so STEs. So there was no withdrawal from Lido for a long time until the withdrawal were implemented into the staking of Ethereum. So until February 2022, there was no redemption. And when about the time during FTX, there was a big depeg. So if you could afford to hold the asset for another 6 months, you could enjoy up to 8% depeg. And one of the strategies that work well is you put that you buy that DPEG asset, you put it as collateral on the lending market, you borrow some ETH, and you put it back as collateral, and you can loop 2 to 3x. So I'm generally against looping, but there are exceptions. When the yield is really good and the expectancy is the asset is going to repeg, the yield of ETH is going to compensate the borrow APR. And also you could put that into Morpho Optimizer, for example, that would give you extra Morpho token. So it was 3 sources of yield in once. And also if the repeg happened quicker, you could close the position and generate more yield. So this is an interesting strategy because it happens all the time in DeFi, and it happens also on stablecoin. So usually one time per year there is a USDT a Tether Fed, which you should enjoy a nice DPEG for up to 2%. So in 2022 there was 2 of them. So this one was more tricky. It was the Circle incident. They had an issue with their bank where they were holding their assets. But still, if you had the stomach to handle the pressure, you could manage to have a 6% DPEG on USDC, so which was great. And with leverage, you could get like 6% multiplied by your leverage, so by 2 or 3, in a matter of few weeks. So it was like the best deal. But also it was a dangerous trade because you are not assured that the US government will come and save you. So more tricky one. But this kind of strategy works with all kinds of assets that have a redemption or that will have redemption. So there is all sorts of LRT. So it works also with CBE, so Coinbase ETH, with Frax ETH, with Pyrex ETH. So yeah, all kinds of stablecoin, and also it works with SUSDE, so stake Ethereum. So you should always monitor the peg, and when there is an opportunity, it's a good way to generate some yield. So we talked about in the risk assessment how you have to understand how the yield is generated. So how do we generate the yield in on-chain vaults? So there are a few manners. So the first one is you put into protocol, so like lending protocol, DEXs, so your LP, and you get the LP fees and the lending fees. So this is the organic yield. So usually this yield is low, so which is fine. But on top of that, you can get other type of yield. So there are a lot in DeFi of a liquidity campaign. So people, protocol are giving up their governance token for liquidity. So a lot of the work of an on-chain asset manager right now is just to coordinate with DeFi protocol to negotiate some incentives, private liquidity deal, and also public liquidity campaign. A new form of yield also is the points. So this is the most the worst kind of yield because you don't know the value of your points. And when you look at point campaigns, you have to evaluate like how much is the FDV of this token will be, how much, what's the percentage for the airdrop of the first season, and also the TGE date. So it's 3 variables, which are all unknown. So you don't really know what you're getting. And to address that, there is a fixed rate protocol like Pendle or Spectra. So they allow you to trade your points for real yield. So this is great. This is great because you don't have to wait until TGE to get your airdrop, and you can monetize your point instantly. There are also some other protocols that I saw that where you can sell your points, but they had very little liquidity. So just to show you one of the best PT, fixed rate of all time was the EtherFi PT for June 2024. So you could get some ETH as low as with 12% TPEG. So you know that if in January you wait until the end of June, so it was at the risk-taking narrative period, but you will have one. So you get 14% in 6 months. So that's 28% APR, which is great. And in fact, on the TGE date, so the price of the FDV was used, the FDV of ETFI was used. So people started, and they also announced their season 2 of the point program. So people were pricing the point, and so the PT got even more valuable, and for a shorter period. So you could buy it as low as with a 10% DPEG, and just have to wait 3 months. So that's 40% APR. So it was great time. And also what is great with this strategy is the underlying protocol is a staking protocol. So it's not risky. It's not very risky compared to lending and DEX. So it's the best you can get out there. And yeah, a little word about AI. So yeah, AI is great, but it's a double-edged sword. So what you can do is get cheap audits for all the protocols that you assess. So I received some email about people asking to do marketing for a security audit and saying they can do as low as $10 per audits. So, and also you can ask AI tool to look at smart contract and reverse engineer the code, and you can check that it's doing what it's advertised it's doing in the documentation. So this is great. But also we are seeing a lot of exploit because now if a security researcher have intuition about something that can go wrong in the code, well, the AI can be also very useful for them to get into it. So we are seeing a lot of infra hack, and yeah, the Resolve hack was probably an infra hack, so security private key leak, and a lot of there is a lot of security issue in Web 2 right now because of AI. So it's double-edged sword. AI is also great because now you can build the software very fast, and you can build your own automation and your and for example, DeFi is also a protocol that is doing some great automation on top of it. But also we've seen some faulty automation, so be careful when you build with AI. Yo has had 2 million security incidents because of their tooling. Yeah, that's it. If you have any question, happy to.
Thank you. So, test, okay. So we talked in the first of all about protocols doing audits and spending a lot of money on audit, but still getting hacked. So I participate in a lot of public contests, but in the description they always say, for example, Oracle manipulation and MEV extraction are out of scope. And if we see the history of hacks, they are related to MEV and Oracle. So what's your comment on that?
So yeah, it's true. It's just that I'm saying any protocol that launch and that handles real money should have an audit. So at least you have the certainty that some professional of security looked into it, and there is the basics criteria met. But the financial attack surface around it is also huge and should also be looked into. And when you assess security, you should look at how the Oracle works and who is in charge of the Oracle. But there can be a lot of failure at this level as well.
And last time I checked, the Machina protocol was doing a bug bounty in Cantina, bug bounty, and the description they were saying Oracle manipulation are out of scope, so auditors cannot submit any finding about that. And the last January they were hacked for 5 million. So I think when companies spend a lot of money on auditing, and then they exclude some part of the auditing, there is no incentive for auditors to find security breaches or potential attack vectors. I see in some way the auditing is limited when you put exclusion and stuff.
I agree.
Thank you for the presentation. It was nice. I had a question. Many of the yield sources you presented us were like single time opportunities with short window period of time. How do you see the role of asset managers in the future regarding those yield sources? Like, how do you see the evolution of them? Like, because I guess it's like some kind of market inefficiencies, and maybe they tend to go lower. What is your view on this?
So yeah, the detailed opportunity I showed you were temporary, and you could afford to profit from them if you had a duration which was longer than a few weeks or few months. But it's not most of the job of on-chain asset manager right now. It's more to allocate to different protocol that generate yields constantly. So your question was about the role of asset manager generally in on-chain?
Yes, so in my view, it's like a way for the asset manager to do some extra performance on top of the base yield, and it's kind of a differentiator for the as a competitive market of asset managers. And yes, how do you see these evolutions for the asset manager when those opportunities will
fade
low? Yeah, will low.
Yeah, a lot of people have been telling me that those opportunities will never last and everything, but I also see them coming back every time. So it's good to have a base yield, but also the temporary opportunity could be a great way to increase performance without increasing the risk. So let's see if market inefficiency disappear. We are seeing that those market opportunities are shorter now, but still there.
Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. I'm kind of a noob, but I would like to know, you said at some point, I don't like to loop in general. So could you elaborate more about this? Because I thought that would be a typical way of increasing the leverage, but why don't you like it?
So different reason. First of all, the looping is profitable if the collateral asset earns more yield than your borrow costs. So borrow costs are variable in DeFi. So you could be in a spot where borrow rates spike, and now your loop is unprofitable. And you have to unwind it before the maturity of your collateral, and maybe you lose some more. And also, when you are managing vaults, you have all the time deposit and withdrawal. And when you are into your loop, your position become more illiquid. So it's going to be difficult as an asset manager to unwind your position. And sometimes, if you don't want to lose too much, you will have to go through redemption. And if you have to do unloop of a loop with a redemption that can take 1 week, 2 weeks, we've seen the Lido queue being in 2025 up to 1 month and a half. So if you have to wait 1 month and a half per loop, it's going to take you a lot of time to unwind. So that's why I don't like too much looping. And there is also the liquidation risk, which I don't like at all.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, sir. Your point of view, can you be 24/7? Can you invest in DeFi without being 24/7 monitoring? Can a single individual taking vacation can invest in DeFi without being wrecked from time to time?
You can, but then you cannot afford to do to earn a lot of yield. You can do very low risk strategy, so you can deposit in your USDC and Aave and earn 3%. But actively manage portfolio will earn more yield than you. So it depends how you are comfortable with earning a little yield. If you want to earn more yield, you have to rely on teams that are 24/7 and that have live monitoring, because it's a fight of mine. Don't forget. So.
Is there any question?
Talking about the case for the DPEG, how do you know that it's going to DPEG? So you're pretty confident, because actually DPEGing means that at least there are some people who at least have a doubt that it might not DPEG. So how are you sure in that? And maybe more importantly, even if you are sure that it's going to DPEG, how do you model the time that it will take? Because it makes a huge difference if it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and then you wouldn't actually have any yield in 1 year. Do you have a model for that?
Yeah, so for example, with Lido, so it was the first liquid staking protocol on Ethereum. So there was no redemption because there was no way to stop staking, basically. I was pretty confident that the Ethereum Foundation would make the unstaking possible at some point. So there was a roadmap. I was also in talk with some core developer, and they tell me, yeah, it's in the next hard fork. We are going to do the withdrawal. So I was like, okay, so I'm pretty confident it's going to repeg, so I have just to calculate my margin. So if it depegs more, I'm not getting liquidated. So I take this risk in consideration. And also, this loop was profitable. So the staking yield at the time was more than the borrow. So it was earning yield anyway. And you would know that at the next, so you had to wait until the next hard fork, plus until the implementation of withdrawal from Lido. So it's another month. And then the withdrawal queue. So there was possibility of holding this for a few months, but it was modeled like that. So for USDT, Tether, for me the Tether FUD happened since basically the beginning. I was in crypto 10 years ago. When it's one time per year, it's like a season, like there is summer, there is Tether FUD. So I think it's good opportunity. The USDC one was more critical because there was a possibility that they got a haircut on their bank deposits. So I try to look at a blue chip asset, and I have a good certainty that it's going to repeg, and it's just a matter of duration. So people need to exit quickly because FTX got liquidated, so they have to liquidate all their assets. So there is a big DPEG because they need liquidity now, and I'm comfortable holding this for a few months if needed. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.